prophecy alert. So I'm trying to get my gifts working, but here's a prophecy one. China is trying to sneak viruses into our medical systems. I had a dream of, I got face to face with this man in China, this Chinese man in China, and he was integrating little like animated widgets. They looked like people, but they also look like viruses. So I don't know if they're sneaking them in on games, but he was surprised, I found out. But they're trying to sneak it into our medical systems to get our medical information, which struck me as weird because I didn't know that we really didn't give out medical information or why they'd want it or what they're doing. So yeah, I do know that there is a group, this is from another prophet, and they're trying to make a paralyzing, this one I don't know is China, but a group is trying to make a paralyzing like virus, and that makes sense with the book of Revelations. It says people will want to die but not be able to, and that would make sense that they're paralyzed. And then another prophet said America's attacked in the future by soulless men with stingers, and so that would kind of make sense that there'd be like a robotic component to these soulless men. And we know China's experimenting with biology in that capacity right now. So if you're of the prayer type, and I want you guys to know something, I got to where I am, and this is more for the future when I'm globally known. I got to where I am just from pure tenacity. So I didn't really have a guide. Like I knew stories from missionaries, and I don't want to tell the whole story, but I guess I have to. There's this story about King Solomon, who was David's son, being really wise. And he was so wise that one day a mother had accidentally killed her own baby. She rolled over it in the night. And so the other woman she lived with, they were fighting over who the living baby belonged to, because both women had a baby. And so King Solomon said, "Bring me my sword, cut it in half, we'll split it evenly." And one of the women cried and said, no, give it to the other woman. And he said, that's the mom, because the mom wants to take care of her baby. And my mom read this to me when I was like 5, like really young. I don't even think my sister was born yet. I think I saw the room to myself, so I might have been, yeah, I had to be 5 or younger because my little brother wasn't born yet. And I was like, I want to be that cool. And so that night, because I was so amazed that someone could do something so evil for the right reasons, I got on my knees and I prayed that I would be like King Solomon. And from that moment forward, I had what's called the gift of discernment, which basically means I can see what's spiritually influencing people. Like I can walk up and say, oh, you have a gift of love, and that's why you feel sad. Or, oh, there's something demonic on you, so just pray against it. And it's really, really useful, but it's eerie too, because there's been times I didn't know better and I just walked up to a girl and I was like, hey, and I said things that were really private, and it just weirded her out, and she like went and told people. It was really weird and creepy, and I was like, oh, I guess I need to do this more delicately. I'm trying to remember where I was. So if inside of your personality you want power, pray. Okay? We don't have power, but when you believe in Jesus, you become possessed by power. So think of it like being possessed by a lot of water. You can do things. You can be a sprinkler. You can pour into a lake. You can pour into a river. You can make ice. You can feed the thirsty. You can make an aquarium. There's a lot of things you can do with this that is power in God's hand, but he lets us hold the hose. if you feel that inside, just pray and start with something small and shallow. Pray for pizza. Pray for to make some male friends, to make some female friends, to make some pretty female friends, to make some rock and roll male friends, to be better at the sport you want to do, to be better at I used to pray for really good photography. I would pray that the girls that I had model for me would have a really good time. I'd always worry about that, you know. I was really, really fat in college, and so I was always I'm not really insecure, but I like people to have a good time, and I get frustrated when they're not, and so I pray that everyone had a good time. If you're one of those people, pray that these dark times are held back, that things stay great, that America stays great, that your town stays great, that there's people who are pure of heart in office, that corruption leaves office. You and I don't have to agree on politics, but we can both agree God is great. So I always pray that, like, good, God-fearing politicians take office, that corruption gets pulled out of office. Even if when it comes to things we might not agree on, like abortion, I can get you on my side, because one thing I'm trying to work with heaven is to get us a form of birth control for men and women, so that way we handle it before abortion even becomes a problem, right? If we can control when we get pregnant with certainty, then we'll have solved this big problem that's consuming all of our time. And there's a lot of other things that I think, and I'm sure you think, that we should get to, like poverty. There's a lot of poverty in the world still. There's still a lot of slavery in Africa. I'd like to do something about that. I heard Kyoto's economy isn't doing very well. So there's a lot of things we can work on, and I want to get to it, especially since I'm a superhero. But yeah, my plan is to get people healing all around the world and set up bases in each country where people can come and get loved ones healed and get words of knowledge and prophecy, so everything about the country and the society around it can grow and prosper. And from there, I hope we, because the next thing in like 4 years, I think we're going to worry about population. I want to start working about stargates, because I have this theory that the Bible talks about stargates, because it talks about space folding. Anyways, I love you guys, and pray for the future and reality you want.